Welcome to the K-Rock Gupta channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a bit more serious than my other videos. Of course, barring my previous video. What I would like to focus on is the title of this video. The consequences of not having deaths in a fictional setting. More specifically, anime.
Editor Karanya. Before you fully watch this video, there are a few spoilers in Naruto Shippuden and One Piece. So if you don't watch anime, please watch the video. I'm really happy with it. And if you do watch anime and you're planning to watch this, come back to it soon. Thank you.
Now, death is a very important part for many fictional settings. Death creates and takes away so much from us. It creates more avenues for characters to develop. It shows us how characters grieve, how characters mourn, how characters start treating other characters around them. It even creates the base motivation for characters, the prime example being Bruce Wayne with his parents dying, or Spider-Man with his uncle dying. However, I want to focus on anime characters, and more specifically One Piece. So what happens when you take death away? This happens with most main characters in anime or shonen anime, because they are protected by something that's called plot armor. We never expect them to die. We never see them dying in the future because, well, how can they? They're the main character of the show. How can we even believe for a second that the reason that the show is being recorded is gonna die? So no matter how many times we see them in a near-death scene, we're never gonna believe that they're gonna die. We always know that, well, they're gonna be saved, or a new power is gonna come up, or the power of friendship is gonna save them. We always believe that something's coming. The most primary example in One Piece is when Rayleigh comes and saves Zoro in this scene. There's always a character to back him up because they're always protected by plot armor. So the audience is expecting nothing. They always expect the characters to be safe. So what often writers try and create is the fear of death in characters around the main characters, which of course works. Characters like Luffy and Naruto and Ichigo, they're all bound by the fact that they can't let anyone die around them. Death around one of the main characters means failure. This creates an extra drive for the characters. This creates an extra motivation. It shows us that they want to protect everyone and anyone they can. And they never want to fail again if someone dies. However, the most important part in all this is consequences. Luffy goes around fighting anyone and everyone. The most important part of his character is that he's carefree. But there's bound to be death. There should be death. Otherwise, it makes no sense. It shows us that the main characters can do anything, and eventually it's gonna go their way. It shows us that there are no consequences to this action, so there should be death. But One Piece, they just refuse to do it. They refuse to let a character die. It's the most ridiculous thing. They can write the most emotional, they can animate the most perfect sacrificial fight scene. We can end up tearing up for characters that we barely even know, that we've seen for 3, maybe 4 episodes. But we can end up tearing up for them because they create an amazing scene. For example, Pell in the Alabasta arc. He fights his ass off. He nearly dies on multiple occasions. But right at the end, he manages to pull off something incredible. And we feel so happy for him. However, it's at the cost of him dying, which is a respectful thing to pay. His sacrifice, it creates a boost within all the rest of the characters to finish the job at hand. But no, right at the end of the arc, he's just vibing with the homies. He's just chilling with some bandages around his arm, like acting like he never nearly died, which makes absolutely no sense. I was honestly angry when I saw him back up.
I'm
sorry, I know I shouldn't be happy that a character is not dead. I should be happy that they're alive. But I was really angry when I saw his face. It made no sense. Show me that I should be scared when a character is willing to sacrifice his life. Show me that I should be scared when one of my favorite characters is about to die. Show me that there are consequences to your actions. Show me that I could lose someone I really appreciate and love in the show. But let me explain to you guys one other example. This kid. This kid is the next example. I forgot her name. I think it was Margaret or Malteser or Marthwhite. I don't know. I'm just gonna go with Mimo. Her name was Mocha. Mimo was her name. Mimo is my example. Let me give a little backstory about Mimo. Now, Mimo and a bunch of other kids were kidnapped by this fellow over here. Now, this fellow is very, very weird, but he's a scientist. He kidnapped these kids for science. So, after he did the experiments every day on them, he would give them a candy to reward them. Now, this candy was extremely suspicious. This candy was actually a drug, a highly, highly, highly addictive drug. Just keep that in mind for what I'm going to explain to you later. Now, Mimo and her children were kidnapped, of course. So they really wanted to get out. And my guys, the Straw Hat Pirates, saved them. They saved them and were out of there. But a few days later, they started feeling withdrawal symptoms that started getting them angry, started getting them destructive. They needed this candy back. They wanted this drug back. How messed up is that to give a drug like that to a child? Yeah. So that fellow was the main villain in this scenario. Now, this fellow, he comes back and he steals the children. He takes them back to his lab because he's very strong. But the Straw Hats aren't having it. They're like, whoa, what are you doing with my kids? Fam, I'm coming back. I'm coming back to get them. And then they went back. They were about to get them. And their main objective was to keep the candy away from the kids. That was their main objective. Now, keep in mind, the whole time the kids were still destructive. They were still hoping to get this candy back. But Machu Picchu over here, she was different. She somehow came out of this trance and realized how bad it was. She realized that what these pirates were saying was true, that this drug is highly addictive. She wanted to go back and she forced herself to get over the withdrawal symptoms, which was an impressive feat by itself. Now, fast forward a bit, and now there's a scene where she's holding all the candy and all the other kids are about to run and beat her up. Now, she can easily throw the candy to them, run away and save herself, but instead, she eats every single one of them. Now, this may sound very predictable, this may sound very generic, but in the moment of how it was constructed and how well it was made, it really moved me. It really showed me that this is insane. This is a complete insanity. This kid is 8 years old and is being forced to sacrifice herself for this shit. So I was like, whoa. Martheran is an absolute legend. Absolute god. I may have butchered the story a little bit because I tried to give it in one take, but basically, Maki Sushi is a legend. I don't know how she did it. And all the other kids are standing around her like, damn, that's what you get. That's what you get for being greedy. But then she starts coughing up blood and she starts aching out of pain. She starts crying and she passes out from the pain. And then all the kids are like, what? This was bad for me? And then the Straw Hats are like, of course it was bad for you. Why do you think we were stopping you? And her death would just be perfect. Perfect. Like, it amazes me how perfect her death would be. For one, it will show how serious this drug was. It's not something you can joke around with. Two, it makes every other kid around her feel extremely guilty for how they acted, and possibly gives them motivation to become a character in the future. Three, it shows how bad this fellow was. It shows how insanely sadistic and terrible he was, and it utilizes that emotion and makes us even angrier for what's about to come. And for the main point being, it means the crew failed. While they may have saved these 19 other children, they weren't able to save this one life. They weren't strong enough to save one child. How insane could that be on one of these characters' mental health? And how many avenues it could have opened up for us to see what these characters think. But no, they had to ruin it by making it all wholesome and happy and make her live in the end. I was annoyed. Why was she alive? Why was this 8-year-old kid alive? Sounds a bit bad in my head. Basically, this was a stupid decision to kill them off. I am angry. Thank you for watching KGGs. Ding 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 dong. I'll see you guys in the next video. But wait. Maybe, just maybe, these decisions were a good thing. Because you were never expecting death. You never expect anyone to die later in the show. You always expect everyone to be alive, everyone to be saved somehow. And that's why when death finally comes, it hits hard. It hits extremely hard, and it hits you harder than you would have ever thought it would, because it came out of nowhere. It came out of nowhere. I feel like a fool thinking about these moments. I feel like a fool thinking, oh man, he's easily gonna survive. Oh man, this is easy claps, bro. There's no way he's dying. The show, it gave me a false sense of security, and then when this death finally happened, it completely tore it down, leaving me like an open stab wound victim who'd been stabbed 19 times in the heart, but still beating, somehow feeling every single piece of pain and all of his nerve endings being crushed. That's how it felt. So what do you think? Always be on guard? Always thinking that death might happen, with death happening intermittently during your shows? Or having many characters live, but when one character finally die, it being extremely, extremely hard to deal with? Let me know in the comments. I really do want to know. Now's the time for the intro. Thank you for watching KGGs. Ding 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 dong.